Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a completely objective, honestly fascinating deep dive into a really unique cosmological framework. We're looking straight at the foundational 2004 opening remarks of Lifechanyuan. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the esoteric teachings, the blend of science and spirituality, and some truly bold claims made right in this text. We'll explore how this belief system structures its entire universe, how it views human history, and the incredibly strict rules it sets for its followers, all straight from the primary source material. It's a wildly intricate framework, and breaking it down piece by piece is absolutely the best way for us to understand it together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the map for our initiate's journey today. We're covering 1. Welcome to Lifechanyuan. 2. Prerequisites for the mind. 3. Prophecies and cosmic physics. 4. The illusion of earthly phenomena. And 5. Ascending to higher spaces.
Section 1. Welcome to Lifechanyuan. Entering Lifechanyuan. Right out of the gate, the author establishes a pretty striking dual identity. He declares that outside of Lifechanyuan, he's just an earthly figure, Shufeng, an imperfect, ordinary sage who has all the usual human emotions and desires. Basically, he's just a guy. But inside Lifechanyuan, he undergoes this massive transformation. He becomes a cosmic, star-filled figure, the deiform Buddha. In this state, he claims he's no longer speaking as a mere human. Instead, he is speaking the absolute Tao of the universe and life itself. This duality is a huge signal to the reader. You aren't supposed to treat this as human philosophy. You're expected to accept it as direct, unquestionable cosmic authority.
Section 2. Prerequisites for the mind. Quieting the soul.
According to the opening remarks, before you can learn anything here, you literally have to unlearn. First up, you have to maintain a perfectly quiet heart, mind, and soul. The text uses this vivid metaphor saying fragrances attract butterflies, and in the same way, a pure heart is what attracts celestial beings. Secondly, and this is a tough one, you have to completely abandon your physical senses. You're instructed to stop lingering on any knowledge you've ever gained through seeing, hearing, or touching. Instead, you just have to surrender, melt into the universe, and communicate spiritually. Think about how difficult that is, shutting off every earthly sound and sight just to tune in to what the text calls the stream of consciousness of the universe. But if you do, it claims you can access the exact same wavelength as figures like Jesus, Buddha, and Lao Tzu.
Section 3. Prophecies and Cosmic Physics, Unifying Human History.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how syncretic, or blended, this belief system really is. The author doesn't just reject other world religions, he actually absorbs them right into his own framework. The text claims that the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, Mayan mythology, and, wait for it, even something referred to as the predictions of the Martians are all totally consistent revelations, and they were all handed down from higher-level life spaces. It's this massive, all-encompassing umbrella that tries to validate its own teachings by co-opting the prophecies of basically every major historical tradition out there.
But then, the text takes a sharp turn into some highly esoteric territory. It casually asserts that the true, actual records of human history and our future are physically kept hidden away. Where? Under the pyramids, and yes, literally inside the moon itself. Now, what's really fascinating here isn't just the claim, but the very specific instruction attached to it. The text immediately tells followers not to pay too much attention to this fact. It warns them against getting tangled up in the far-fetched earthly logic that ordinary people might use to try and explain it all away.
This heavy skepticism of human reasoning gets codified into a very specific ratio. The text makes the bold assertion that of all the accumulated knowledge human society has ever produced, a staggering 99% of it is absolute rubbish. Only 1% is true wisdom. To justify this, the author uses a geological analogy. Finding that 1% is like sifting through tons of dirt to find a few precious metals and gemstones, compared to the entire dead weight of the earth itself. The takeaway for the follower is loud and clear. Do not waste your time studying standard human knowledge, because you're literally just collecting garbage.
Actually, scratch that. The text does make one major exception for human knowledge, but only when it aligns perfectly with its own cosmology. Lifechanyuan claims that the total energy of the universe is exactly zero. To back this up, the text explicitly brings in theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking and his book A Brief History of Time, pointing out that Hawking also recognized this zero-energy universe concept. Because of this, the text concedes that human scientists are getting close to the greatest creator. But, it's a close but no cigar situation. It explicitly warns that human scientists will never, ever fully grasp the ultimate truth.
Now, what's incredibly interesting about this breakdown is the distinct divide.
The text points to Albert Einstein's famous failure to find a unified field theory. It argues that the greatest scientists are failing because they are entirely blind to what it calls the negative universe. While modern science clearly recognizes the first four fundamental forces of the universe, the text claims scientists turn a completely blind eye to the next four: the structural force, the repulsive force, the conscious force, and the spiritual force. By elevating consciousness and spirituality to the exact same level as fundamental physics, the text basically positions its own teachings as the ultimate unified theory, one that science is just too blind to see.
Section 4. The illusion of earthly phenomena, earthly events.
To demonstrate exactly how followers should view current events, the text points to a very real, highly charged political conflict, the suppression of the Falun Gong by the Chinese government and Jiang Zemin. The text presents the conflicting accusations quite neutrally, the government calling Falun Gong a cult, and Falun Gong calling the government evil. But Lifechanyuan uses this strictly as an exercise. The text flat out states that no one can figure out who is actually evil using human logic or political analysis. It argues that this entire conflict is just chaotic earthly confusion, and it can only be deciphered by tapping into that spiritual connection to the universe we talked about earlier.
And this brings us right to a core definition in the text: phenomena. Phenomena basically encompass all earthly events, politics, and public opinions. The text warns that these things easily mislead people, sucking up massive amounts of time, energy, and intelligence. The strict instruction for the initiate is to treat all phenomena with absolute indifference. They are literally told to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the world around them. So, the next time you find yourself doom-scrolling the news, just remember, according to this text, you're letting phenomena totally hijack your spiritual direction.
Section 5. Ascending to higher spaces, the ultimate goal. To understand ascension in this framework, you really have to understand what you're trying to escape. The text treats karma and transmigration, which is basically reincarnation, not as religious beliefs, but as an inescapable cosmic accounting system. It is framed as an absolute order of life. The text states very clearly that if an individual commits disorderly conduct in a past life and somehow escapes punishment then, they will absolutely face a bleak and miserable existence in their current life. No exceptions.
Let's see how this all builds into their master plan for the soul. The whole goal of joining Lifechanyuan is to definitively break that cycle of earthly suffering. Step 1 is escaping mortal reincarnation entirely. Once you're free, the soul develops toward higher-level life spaces. Step 2 is ascending to the 1,000-year world. Step 3 takes you to the 10,000-year world. And the ultimate peak, Step 4, is the Elysium world. But here's the catch. The text warns that followers absolutely must use mental cultivation to elevate their minds to these high-level spaces before an unnamed impending catastrophe strikes the earth. The clock is ticking.
But here's the plot twist. The followers aren't just saving themselves. In a pretty powerful concluding revelation, the text tells the initiates that they are, in fact, already awakened beings who originated from these high-level spaces. Their ultimate earthly mission is to act as boats. By utilizing their newly unlocked spiritual wisdom, they're tasked with ferrying the rest of humanity out of the sea of suffering and safely over to the shore of heaven.
We'll end today's explainer on this profound and honestly provocative quote taken directly from the text. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. It perfectly encapsulates the rigid, inescapable cosmic justice that underpins this entire belief system. And it leaves us to ponder. In a universe where earthly phenomena are just illusions and cosmic laws are absolutely unbreakable, are we truly the masters of our own destiny, or just subjects of a much grander, hidden physics? Thank you for exploring this fascinating framework with me today. Keep learning and keep questioning.